How come, like, I can't even check out week 5 and week 6? They haven't even announced game days and times yet.
Because they had to save the end of the leagues to prevent um, standings to be determined 2 weeks before the end of the DPC. You get what I mean? So,
No,
for example, take
I'm
a
a
look
dum
at
dum.
NA.
Okay.
Take a look at NA.
Okay.
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 So
Looking at NA.
Quincy played EG on week 1.
Gotcha.
If that happened and EG won, do you feel like you already know who's going to be first and who's going to be second?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it would be EG.
Yeah. So they do that because they basically kind of like guessed or estimated which teams were going to be the best teams and saved certain matchups for later. So they just kind of left it open in a way. They basically prevented the first and second seed from ever meeting against each other in the first 4 weeks. So that way there's still a little bit of like mystery about like, oh, what's going to be happening, you know.
Hmm. That sounds like an artificial way to inject hype into week 6.
Yeah, but if you don't have that, then like if you don't do it that way, then you're literally like the DPC fizzles out because there's no playoffs, there's no finals. You know, it's literally just like, all right, in the last week we've got 3 matches left. Like I know there's not very many matches on the last week either. So if those are all like dead rubber matches, then
Yeah, who
the DPC
cares?
just eh.
Who cares about, sad boys and four zoomers fighting over 4th and 5th place when it doesn't matter at all?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, okay. You know what? I've warmed up to the idea.
Which is why going back to the whole, seventh of upper division versus second of lower division to have that match go off,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that had some stakes. And had some money in there. That would be a way to make the DPC season go off with a bang at the end. Something. But yeah.
Do we know, like, and it's just the placement in these groups. There's nothing after that. There's potential tiebreakers, and that might be it. So we just kind of fizzle through
Yeah.
week 6.
Yeah. They very likely will save the 1 and 2 seeded matchup for the final week, if I had to guess. That way it feels like there's a finals. But they left a lot of matches undetermined. They basically left the last 3 weeks open because you don't know who's going to be the top 2 teams. So you want to try and curate the schedule as much as possible, which is one smart thing that Valve did. I will give them a lot of credit for that. That they had the foresight to be able to see that would be a good thing to do. So good job.
Well, I guess I'm off watching DPC duty all of next week with no Team Liquid games, and then just a mystery schedule for week 5 and week 6.
So you
Which I'll
guys
take
have
as a
yet to
win.
play OG and Alliance, huh?
Yeah, at some point in the remaining 2 weeks, which could be games that decide like a 4th place berth or something. In theory.
Yeah, that's what you're pretty much hoping for right now. I have a funny feeling Liquid's not going to make it to the major.
I am not going to be that pessimistic. But again, those Tundra esports games are pretty rough to watch.
Yeah.
Mm.
And the fact that Alliance beat OG, that gives them a serious boon.
Well,
So, yeah, rough times for them.
I'll just take the week
But
off with the rest of them. Again, though, I was pleasantly surprised by not needing to set an alarm today and wake up and still getting to watch the games because I think they started
yeah.
at. I mean, it's 4 o'clock Pacific that these games are wrapping up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was ready to go at 1
Really.
p.m.
Hey man, whatever, man. It's my day off. I don't care. Not my problem. My problem is tomorrow. Actually, that's not even my problem because I've got one series, and then I go because T Governor's now on the show. I only have to cast. I get to cast first of all. Oh fuck. I get to cast once a week, man. And every single time I get to, I'm like, oh, thank God. I finally get to do some casting. And I'm only doing the first series. So I'm taking the rental car that we have here. I'm going to drive there and drive myself back. So I have a sweet little half day. It's going to be sick.
What's a... Oh, man, that's cool. You get to have a rental car. Can you just, like, go explore? Or are you not about that life?
But I'm not that. No, I'm not about that life. I also think that me and Shiva are the only people who are confident enough to drive the car. And to be honest, I'm not sure if Shiva's like super happy about driving it. But I very much enjoyed it. I was like, oh, this is nice to have some independence when I'm in a foreign country. It's quite nice.
I'd be all over that. I'd be surprised more people wouldn't be into that. Surely Kyle, I mean, what, is it like a stick and Kyle can't drive stick?
Kyle hasn't driven in a while. And then the rest are, I'm not sure if Moxie has a car, but I don't know. They just don't feel comfortable driving in the snow in a foreign country.
Oh, man. I'm so jealous. If I were you, I'd be like, day off, time to go. How far away can I drive? How far away can you drive away from Stockholm?
I bet pretty far.
I guess.
I don't have to pay for gas either, so it's got a full tank right now. I could just drive. I could go to fucking Finland or something if I wanted to. Just keep going. Hey, but I have no desire to do that, Joey. Instead, I stayed inside. I played video games, and then I did a For Honor podcast for 2 fucking hours.
See, now, on the odd chance that someone's listening to both the For Honor podcast and this because they must sustain off of your voice, they must have understood that 2 hours is a long time for a podcast, especially For Honor.
Wasn't how I wanted to spend my day off.
What games were you playing?
I mean, I was just playing Dota. I was doing some pubs. I'm playing Naga Siren. I'm spamming the shit out of Naga Siren. I'm also trying to get higher MMR as I'm always trying to do. But specifically right now, I noticed that me and T Governor are very, very close at MMR. And I'd like to be higher than him just because I think it would be funny.
Isn't playing on EU less conducive getting easy MMR though? Or do you find like your games are better at that high level? Or
MMR is the same. MMR is the same across the board. Rank may not be the same, but MMR 7K is 7K no matter where you go. Now, the what wins in a region may be slightly different because regions and what they value is a little bit different. But if anything, European MMR I've found is easier for me. My style as a player, I find playing in Europe more conducive to my MMR growth. So that's because I'm a support player, an offlane player. I think if you are more of a carry or mid, NA is really good to just shoot up, just bonk on some NA noobs in the mid lane and shoot up in MMR. You know, it just every region's different. Like China, once upon a time, like I played in China a few times, and one of the metas in China was literally just 5-banning everywhere. And I thought it was so inefficient because I'm NA, so farming is in my blood. Even if I hate it, you know, I'm going to notice inefficiency. And I just remember the Chinese players always ping me if I'm not like 5-manning constantly with them. It's wild.
And you can't even talk to them.
Time. Yeah, I couldn't say anything. So I was just like, shouldn't somebody defend this tower? Like, come on, guys. But no, it was 5-man constantly. So,
man, for anyone who's watching the video podcast, I just had the Wikipedia page covering our video recording for the last 5 minutes. So,
yeah, it's okay. They learned something.
Yeah, exactly. I've been I haven't touched much Dota in the last week and a half, but I've just been slamming through my backlog to try on other games and trying to just get like a mass quantity of stuff done. And I feel like everything I've been playing I haven't been that excited by.
Hmm.
But I've still been rolling credits on stuff. Like I played Cardo, which is a like a mobile-esque Switch-esque puzzle game where you can like move the map under your character. Interesting,
Okay.
not great. I played Carry On, which is like a Metroidvania game where you're the bad person. Interesting, okay, not great. Hard to like universally recommend. What else did I play? I played all of Disc Room, which could be really fun if you're someone who likes those kind of bullet hell games. Um, but also still not great. Hard to universally recommend. What else did I play? I played Ori and the Blind Forest finally for the
Yeah,
first
yeah.
time.
You talked about that last week. You said you might play the sequel.
I might, but still hard to recommend. I played
Mm.
God. Oh, you know what? I did play through all of all the new Hitman game that came out. I played Hitman 3. Which is a series that I just actually do recommend to people. I think if you haven't played a Hitman game and you don't know anything about it, but you just like games, it's a crime that you haven't tried playing Hitman because it's just so unintentionally funny.
I've never done that, so
Have you even watched someone play Hitman? Like do you?
not more than 5 seconds.
Ah, I think I'll Steam friends and family share my account with you. I think I already have actually.
Okay, okay.
You should one day when you're going through and you're like, man, I don't know what to play today. I think more people should just try playing Hitman because it's good in all the best ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, God, what else did I play? Oh God, I also played I played a Metroidvania where the whole conceit is everything's like also a pinball machine called Yoku's Island Express. It's better than
Okay.
Ori. But like I've just been slamming through stuff, and people have been like, "Hey Joey, do you want to play Dota?" And I'm like, "Nah, man, I'm busy." Meanwhile, I'm just sitting at my desk on my Switch being antisocial. I should probably stop that.
Whatever, man. I'm all about being antisocial.
Yeah, you sat in your apartment all
Especially
day.
when I'm working at an event, I'm like, get the fuck away from me. I don't want to talk to anybody. I have to deal with you people nonstop. It's a crime that in order to watch this show, I need to listen to the people that I work with.
That maybe you should learn a different language, right? Because you
I
can just
really should.
you
If I
can
could learn Russian or Chinese and listen to them do their panel, it would actually be so much better. Because then I get ideas as well to be able to go on panel. But no, I mean, I like everybody I work with. I don't even I'm being a
cranky
little
to your cranky
dramatic,
boy.
but no. I'm not even cranky. I'm just being a little dramatic just for comedic effects. But I don't mind listening to them at all. It's just I do though intentionally try to separate myself from them because part of my job is to be happy and enjoy what I do. But another part of my job is to enjoy the people I'm around. I think that's actually part of my job is to enjoy the people I work with because that's just how paneling works. So so I intentionally try and distance myself a bit. So on these days off, so that I can enjoy them more when we're together. Worst thing is to get sick of each other while doing a show.
I do
That's
like
not
the
going to go
idea.
well.
I do like the idea of you having to, be with Kyle all day. And then on your day off, you're like, let me tune into the broadcast. You're just listening to Kyle all day still. And it's like, fuck!
Yeah, no, I'm definitely not doing that. Fuck that. In fact, if anything, honestly, if I could get away from Dota, it would probably be better too. But when I'm watching all this Dota, all I want to do is play Dota. I just don't want to do it on the same day. I'm just like, oh, my next day off, I want to play a bunch of Dota. So,
Have you
then
taken
I get to do
anything
that.
into your pubs that you've been observing in the DPC so far?
Yes, Naga Siren. I've been spamming the shit out of Naga Siren 4, 5. I've yet to try it 3, but I'm pretty sure it can work as a 3. But 4 and 5 position Naga Siren. Really good. Really,
What's
really, really
bringing
good.
Naga back in right now?
Okay, so supports right now in Dota, what makes a good support is actually not your abilities. It's your base stats, how fast you move, what your HP is, what your armor's at, your range a little bit. But like movement speed is like hugely important right now as a support. That's actually what makes a good and bad support more often than not. So Naga Siren has high HP, high armor, 330 movement speed base. So she moves faster than some heroes, Crystal Maiden, for example, with boots. She moves faster on base movement speed with that. So these kind of heroes can actually be played as support, even though they're not traditional support heroes. Same goes with Brewmaster. Death Prophet, though Death Prophet's like a weird exemption. Her stats aren't actually that good, but Spirit Siphon is like a really good trading ability. So her stats are okay. They're probably actually above average, but then Spirit Siphon pushes you way over the top. So it's like you're a good laning support, and then you're just a better team fight hero than most supports later on, right? If you have a Naga Siren who's a 4 or 5 position who can use Song of Siren to reset, and then like the build is to get a Meteor Hammer, and you can actually do a trick if anybody wants to try this Naga Siren build, you go Meteor Hammer, and when you Song, you start channeling Meteor Hammer. And while you're channeling it, you shift Q wards, treads. I don't know what else you can like turn on and off easily. It used to be Ring of Aquila. But like wards is a really easy one. You don't even need sentries or and observer wards. You can literally have one or the other. Just shift Q, hit that 3 times, and then shift Q dropping Song. And it will make it so the Meteor Hammer hits them on the same tick as them waking up from sleep. So they can literally only get off things like phase shift and BKB and blinking straight forward. They can't get anything else off.
That sounds wild.
Yeah, it's a very, very powerful. And then on top of that, like you can build an Aghanim Scepter, which makes it so net locks down BKB units, which is like a huge play against carries late game. You're a split pushing, like you're able to actually push. You could siege towers really well because illusions are great for tanking towers. You're actually able to hit neutrals really well because of your high armor and high base damage. So there's just a lot of things you can do with it. So I'm just spamming the shit out of it, trying to work out all the kinks.
Are there any other? I mean, I guess Naga has sleep. Maybe Elder Titan. What other good Meteor Hammer interactions are there that you can just use by shift queuing stuff? I've never even considered that as a possibility to use your shift queue to just waste time and time stuff perfectly.
Yeah, it's pretty rare because I think shift queuing things like wards and treads only takes like point. I'm not even sure if it's 0.1. It might be 0.01 or something. It's like a very small amount of time that you're taking away. It might be 0.1. But you're only taking like a little bit of time away. So a lot of combos you would have to do like 10, 20 times or something in order to make it fit perfectly. Because the other one would be OD. Everyone's going OD core right now. I've seen some supports I actually played against Cinderin today who was trying out support OD. But you get a Meteor Hammer. And basically there is a, when you Meteor Hammer somebody, there is the status that says banished. When the line gets to the H, that's when you start channeling Meteor Hammer. That's like the cheat. But if you wanted to get it literally fucking frame perfect, you would have to shift queue up like some sort of ward thing. Like I don't even know how you would do that actually. Because it only works with Song because you are shift queuing it so it activates after the Meteor Hammer is done, and then you're turning off Song. So I don't know how that would work with like something like fucking imprisonment. Imprisonment's mostly just kind of guessing. Or not guessing, but like kind of estimating.
I'm gonna have to go fuck around in some practice mode and see if I can pull that off now.
Yeah,
That'll be my
OD's
podcast project is to go see if I can shift Q OD support Meteor Hammer properly.
OD is mega strong. I'm sure you could find a way, but it's like really wonky to shift Q up imprisonment on somebody.
Yeah, because you need to target.
Yeah, you'd have to shift Q. You'd have to be away from them, shift Q imprisonment on that guy, and then put in a whole bunch of commands to make it perfect.
Huh. Have you been so if you're taking Naga out of your DPC experience so far, have you been noticing any substantial shift between covering the CIS upper and the EU upper, or is everyone kind of playing Dota the same right now?
I mean, there's differences, but not massive differences. CIS and EU scrim against each other a lot. In fact, Virtus Pro exclusively scrims against the European teams because, of course, of course you're going to do that. The only way you're gonna lose out on first place is if you make the other CIS teams better. You know. So
That's
like,
true.
what's the point?
You don't want to be a good practice partner because you're helping Na'Vi more than you're helping yourself.
Yeah, it's different with like Europe because Europe's like very competitive. So Secret needs to be able to have an edge. I don't know what their scrim partner choices are like. But I feel like it's much more acceptable for them. But it's the same thing with EG. EG notoriously has not scrimmed teams in the past in NA because like why would you? You don't want to make them better. So fucking scrim the European teams on ping. You know that's not your direct competition. You could teach them something. You can learn something from them. But you're already in first, so don't help the your competition learn how to beat you. You know.
I kind of like that the NA region is actually, we are going to get those matches week 6 to do some decision because it isn't clear cut if EG will win.
Yeah, but it's like yeah, EG might not be first, but they're definitely first or second. It's the same with CIS. Virtus Pro might not be first. They might lose to Na'Vi, but if
there's no way
they're going to lose to Na'Vi, there's nobody else they're going to lose to.
Yeah, there's zero chance they're below second or third.
Yeah, I mean, that 4 Zoomers versus EG thwapped the shit out of them. Fucking bonk their asses.
Dude, between us talking last week and now we found out about the Singapore major. We found out where we're going to be going after, this season ends.
Yeah.
Have they provided...
May or may not do that. I don't know.
You may or may not do that?
Yeah, because so I have not been invited. I know some people have been invited and some people haven't. So I don't know if they're... And PGL is notorious. It's slow rolling out invites. It's a business practice, You invite a couple of people that you feel like are like really important or maybe easy to negotiate with or something like that. And then you slow roll the rest of the invites because then people are sweating, They're like, because we obviously all talk to each other. Yeah. So you're like, you sweat it out for like a week. Then you finally get the email like, hey, we'd love to invite you to this event. Here's the rate. And you're like, oh, thank God, I'll do it. I thought you would never ask. Or I don't know. Like, I'm literally just, I don't know what the point of solo rolling it is, but I do know it does have that effect. So, but yeah, I might not do that event. We'll see.
Are they planning to have an audience?
I don't know. I mean, it's Singapore, so I know Singapore has been faring pretty well with the coronavirus. So I think there's a chance.
Small,
but I don't
potentially a really small audience.
I don't know if they're bringing the casters, the talent into Singapore. The sneaking suspicion that they're just going to do it out of Romania, but we'll see.
That's what I would assume. When I saw that, I assumed that they were going to do remote English or remote as many languages as they can from Romania and maybe have a small audience in Singapore. or like
Yeah.
have like a sequestered stage, or like an arena that is a screen but maybe not the players in an arena, if you want to keep them safe. Like, I'm
Mm.
interested in the logistics behind it. Singapore makes sense for a country that has, been relatively good with COVID, but I'm also wondering how many players are still going to be hyped to be like, yeah, let's go travel, or if they're going to be seeing
Yeah.
pushback from teams.
I do know Romania requires you to quarantine, and I believe it's the same for Singapore. You have to quarantine for like 2 weeks. Um, and people are probably going like, well, duh, of course you do. But like most of the countries that I know of anyway allow you to be able to get a test to say that you don't have COVID, one of those PCR tests, to get that in order to show that you don't have it, and then you're able to get out of quarantine. So, because then obviously with the combination of, okay, I took it before I got on the flight. That's how I got into the country. And then when I got into the country, I took another one. You know, chances are if both of those are negative, then you're probably good. So, but yeah, like I know Romania requires you to hold that 2 week quarantine. So the talent there went 2 weeks early, and that's 2 weeks without pay. You know, that's 2 weeks of like being somewhere away from home without getting paid for it. So like,
That's
and I
pretty.
think that's worth something. Like, I think that is worth an amount of money. Because like the way I look at this, if it's like, let's say it's it's 2 weeks. Let's say it's 1.5 weeks. The major is 1.5 weeks. I actually don't know how long it is, but like tag on 2 weeks of that, 3.5 weeks mixed with a bit of travel time. That's basically 4 weeks. That's basically a month, and I'm only getting paid for like eight work days. You know, I'm not gonna feel super good about that.
I guess there's enough people who will say yes to that to where it's fine for PGL, but I couldn't imagine a world where a down day of forced travel is not at least a half day. Or
Yeah.
maybe in this extreme situation that we're in right now, you say that like it's a third day, and you're getting paid for maybe 5 days of work.
Yeah, it's weird on both sides, right? It's like a pretty big expense if they're paying us for 2 weeks of being there and just not doing anything, but at the same time, like it's also not something that I want to be doing. So it's
Yeah,
I don't
it's
know. We'll
also
see. I mean, if maybe I don't get invited at all, but if I do, I'm not like automatically gonna accept. That's for sure.
it's also the world state, right? Like, I mean, if you
Mhm.
compare that to being in Los Angeles and what we have to do to keep, or in Atlanta or in Vancouver and other filming hubs, if you're planning on putting on a show right now, you're basically taking your proposed budget and multiplying it by like 1.3, 1.4,
Yeah.
sometimes even 1.5. If you look at like what traditional studios like Universal or Lionsgate or MGM, Disney, Sony, what have you, what they're doing for budgets just to maintain COVID practices right now, like you're seeing things that are like 150% of what they were before, just to pay for
Mm.
people to quarantine, paying for hotels, paying people's day rates when they're not working, paying for COVID compliance officers, paying for extra PPE and stuff. So, if that's happening in the entertainment sphere, I would assume that some of that would trickle into other live production events. I know that it's happening like with the NFL and the NBA too. And I guess you can kind of get away with that by having your event be run out of Romania, or having enough talent who are eager to work where you don't have to, pay extra for quarantining. But
Yeah.
it's just everything is exponentially more expensive right now. And I think that any
Yeah.
talent who's going to be there and just like, sitting in a hotel for 2 weeks, like, sure, maybe they really want to be at the major. Maybe it's not something they've done before. But I don't know. It's hard
Let's
to
see.
justify 2 weeks of
One,
not
two.
being paid.
Okay, so there are 11 days. So it's March 25th to April 4th. So that is 11 days. But I anticipate that there's at least one break day, if not multiple, somewhere in there. So I was pretty close with my assessment. I said 8 working days, so it might be more like 9, maybe 10. But like 9 or 10 working days. like ultimately what this equation all comes down to me is that like I was willing to work this league for ESL 1 because it was X amount of money. I basically said, this is like in my head, I have a figure of like, this is how much money I need to risk my life traveling. It's like morbid, but that's what it is, right? It's like there's a number. Everybody has a number.
Oh yeah.
Like is somebody going to get on a plane for $30? No. Somebody getting on the plane for 300,000? Yes. So there's the number stops somewhere between those two, right? And so if that few working days may not add up to enough for me to like risk my life to go flying and be in an area where, just around people potentially getting COVID, so it's, especially since I know I'm like likely to do the second season of the DPC as well. So like, I know I have work in the future. So, I don't know. We shall see. Oh, hey, that leads into the question that guy left.
Yeah. Before you ask that, something from me. Do you? Because there's almost like a light at the end of our COVID tunnel right now, because we see in theory vaccines that are working that presumably you and I will be able to take by the end of the year. Does that also like factor into your calculus of like not needing to do every bit of work because presumably we're going to be back to normal sometime sooner rather than later? Or does that have like no bearing of effect on your decision?
No, it does have a bearing, but it's different. The way I think about it is that I have gone this long without getting COVID, and I only need to go a little bit longer without getting it. The chances of death are very, very minimal, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not actually concerned about that. I don't want to give a fuck about that. But the chances of having long-term implications to your health are very real. And so, then like I don't want to basically catch it, have some sort of long-term complications and be looking back and be like, well, if I just stayed home for another 4 months, then I would have been fine. I would have been able to get the vaccine. Chances of me getting it from that point in time are significantly low. So that's what it comes down to. That's why that number is like in play. So it's actually more about the fact that yes, there is a light out of the tunnel, and it's more about like since I will risk it for a certain amount of money to get COVID right now, but if like COVID, like if we didn't have a vaccine, then I'm much more likely to do the major, because if I'm gonna get it, then I might as well do all the events.
Yeah,
I'll be as safe as I can and everything like that, but like I still have to go out and work and make money. There's only so long that I can shortchange myself due to the pandemic.
I think ultimately we're both in pretty privileged situations, but I feel pretty close the same way. Like I am being much more cautious, I think, in the last couple of weeks, seeing some kind of light at the end than I have been probably in, say, November or December. Because I'm like, wait a second, hold on, I've come this far, I haven't gotten sick, I'll just a little bit more, just one last long push, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's also something that I'm thinking about is, hey, do you want to come, work on set for this day? Like, well, what's the pay? Not really. Like, I don't really need to. Like, let's not be around a bunch of people. But you said that we had you said that we had a question that you pulled that I would that I'd love to pull up, and I can't pull it up because my Discord is the screen recording. So
that is totally fine. I will read it. I also dropped other things I wanted to talk about last week, but I feel like they're kind of old and not worth it.
You tell me. I know it's a good question, so we can start there.
All right, so we'll start with the somebody asked this in my Discord channel. If you guys want to talk to me, I have a Discord channel. Staged asked this. Staged is a amateur caster, and he said that blah 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 blah. When you were getting started as an esports personality, and even now during dry spells like last year during COVID, how do you remain financially solvent without compromising your ability to take on suitably prestigious or profitable events? Can't imagine there's much in the way of a passive income in esports. Do most personalities have other members of household to keep them afloat, or freelance work that they can put aside for events, or is it all a gamble of independent content creation?
Can I take a swing here at a little bit
Yeah,
and just take a shot in the dark?
yeah.
I think if we're talking about you specifically, I think that your net expenditures is pretty low, and that might even be tactical.
E-
And I also think that a lot of other talent just don't live in Los Angeles and they have a lower cost of living.
Yes, that is like a number of things. So for example, like Trent has a wife and he doesn't live in that expensive in an area. He makes up for it because he has a family to take care of. But like his wife has a job. Lyrical's wife has a job. Blitz and I both worked at Join Dota, so we had a salary at that time. The trade-off was we made a lot less money. It's why we left Join Dota, because we knew we would make more money away from Join Dota, which is what I constantly told them, and they didn't really take that seriously. That it's like a little different for us because like I think we both made that jump into a salary. So it was easy and then we got big enough that we knew we could be financially independent by working, let's say, 8 events a year. That would be enough to make rent and to pay for things that I need to pay for and stuff like that. For other people, I think you need a side hustle. It's whether it is streaming and trying to make it like kind of make it as a streamer and like casting on your own channel and trying to build up a subscriber base that gives you a form of a salary, a monthly reliable income. Then there's that, because casting games online nowadays it's much better than it was, but it's still not good. It's still not great. We talked about that before. Like you're making minimum wage casting online games, most likely. And it's not reliable. And you're not getting like any benefits if you're American or something. So I think you pretty much need to either significantly lower any potential cost that you have. So like having incredibly low rent by moving to an area that's abandoned. Move to fucking North Dakota or some shit, pay $50 in rent. There you go. You need to do something like that. Or you need to have an actual job, which is what I know most casters when they're starting, when they start getting involved into casting, they almost always have a job. Toby had a job. He was working at an Australian version of GameStop or Best Buy or something like that. I don't know what LD was doing. I think Lumi was in school. I was working. I was in the Marine Corps, and then I was working at the paper mill. So I had those jobs when I got the offer to go full time at Join Dota. Yeah, you pretty much like I had a full time job basically, and I was doing casting as like a part time job on the side, and I just grinded a lot because I really enjoyed doing it. So
You can extrapolate that to, why is it a meme, right, that every waitress in Los Angeles or waiter in Los Angeles or Starbucks worker is just someone who is waiting to sell their script, right? Like, I don't know if that's exclusive to casting. I think that you can kind of take that to most entertainment fields. Why do a lot of models work at Starbucks? Why do a lot of writers work at a restaurant or a bar at night as a bartender? Why do you get
I just
a lot
posted
of like
a picture. I did some recording for voice acting this morning, and
Mhm.
I put a chair on my fucking table, and as a infrastructure for pillows to fill in the gaps, so I could make a sort of recording booth. And I took a picture of it and I put it on the subreddit. I think it's just the voice acting subreddit, because I see people post there like, I'm at busy, I have to travel for work, but I'm also pursuing voice acting on the side, and they'll post pictures like that, and I always get a kick out of it because people, I'm just imagining some guy in a fucking hotel room looking around like trying to figure out how to like
What's the
muffle
softest thing I
sound and
have?
shit. Yeah, exactly. So I always get a kick out of that. So, I did that and I took a picture of it. And yeah, that's all pretty much all talent industries. People usually have to start out. You either get in super early, whether it's like esports, the start of the industry, or acting, music, that sort of thing when you're a kid,
Hmm.
when you're still at school, when you don't have to be financially independent. That's why a lot of pro esports players, they're in college when they make it, because they don't have to pay for rent. They've got this time where they're
Or they
supposed to be
do, but
going to
it's on
classes, but
loans.
instead, yeah, yeah.
Um,
So,
yeah, I mean, I started working in entertainment in college. You know, it was my
mhm,
final year, but that's how I started. Working in the industry, and that's because I didn't have to pay rent, and I could miss a
mhm,
class to go to work, and I was able to feed myself based on my RA student eating plan. I didn't have to worry about food, right? So
mhm,
it's always a lot of I think when you don't have those safety nets of either like a partner or parents or youth or college loans, which isn't the best example because you do still have to pay those back. Trust me, I'm definitely doing that still. But it helps, and when you don't have those more traditional safety nets, or you're in an area that's expensive, or you're in a country that doesn't give you any, suddenly you have to find something else to do, and that's why I think you hear a lot of stories about people on YouTube who were still working at Best Buy or
yeah.
but
I've estimated out that I think when I originally joined Dota, I think I said that based off of the rate that I was kind of looking to market myself at, I think I needed to make 8 events in a year. And I was like, okay, that's a good number to shoot for. And I think that's pretty easy. So I felt very confident about leaving Join Dota. Nowadays, and
did you make
like
those
I
8 events
live,
that year?
uh, the first year I left Join Dota was rough. It was a bad year. I did not get many events, but I was living at my mom's. So I moved back in with my mom when I was 25, 26. I was a grown ass man with my girlfriend, with Ellie. We both moved in with my mom after I left Join Dota. Like that's the kind of sacrifice that I had to make sure that I could indeed financially support myself going independent, because it's a huge risk. The first year went very poorly, so I don't remember if I actually did make 8. But nowadays, I think I have to make. I obviously have a much more expensive lifestyle now, living in Los Angeles, and I have to make probably. I think the minimum is like 10 events, so I have to make about an event a month in order to kind of be financially solvent. So,
And does that
um,
include like
yeah.
saving money for you? Like
No,
do you
that
factor
would
in
be literally
savings?
just that would literally just be like making rent, food, like all my regular expenses. That would not be uh, saving up in any way. No.
That's the part that
So
spooks me.
yeah,
Because how do you cash
it's
into
a
a
bit
401k,
spooky.
right? Like, or
Yeah.
your IRA or whatever
No.
you're going to do for retirement.
Yeah, for sure. That's why I have been like, obviously I've made more than 10 events a year. So in that regard, like I have managed to save up a lot, and that's why I do a fair amount of investing. And then on top of that, we've done like a lot of investment into Ellie as she's tried to open up her studio in January. Like we've invested not that much. Um, but like a decent amount of money into that. And like the way we look at our life is that very likely I will become a trophy husband and she will be the breadwinner because I will have not very marketable skills. If I do, like if I have a career, 10, 20 years down the line, great. But we have that future plan of like I'm going to be reliant on her. Like I carried the financial weight of the first 10 years and she's going to carry it the next 10 years sort of deal.
I'm just gonna go ahead and say in a very genuine way that's pretty cool and modern.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so. It's honestly, she would already be supporting us quite heavily if it wasn't for this goddamn quarantine. But you know, pandemic is hopefully going to be winding itself down as vaccines start getting handed out. But yeah, you pretty much have to like there are if fucking what's the term of god it's too late. That's why my brain's not working right
I'm
now.
watching you wind down actively. Yeah. That bed's looking awfully
Feast or famine. Jesus Christ, I couldn't get feast or famine. There's another saying that's similar to feast or famine that I was trying to get into my head, but it's very feast or famine. My bank account sometimes looks like I'm a fucking G, and I'm like, holy fuck, I could make a fucking mattress purely out of $20 bills. Hell yeah. And then other times I'm like, holy fuck, I'm broke. Because you work like 3-4 events in a row, and
spend no money.
2 to 6 months later, let's say, all of a sudden all those events pay out. And then you're like, holy shit, I'm rolling in the money. But you have to be financially smart about it. You have to actually save up that money because there are going to be months where you don't work at all. And you're just like watching the bank account slowly but surely get lower and lower. And you're going, oh, fuck. Hope I get an event soon.
I have to buy cat food. Like,
yeah.
there's things to do.
Yeah. But yeah, even now, like even because I've obviously very much made it, but even now, it's like I still sometimes worry about money.
I feel the same way in kind of my career trajectory in the sense that I know that I in theory could be liquid, like as in cash fluid, not as in I work at liquid. But like it would involve like pulling out any investment money I have, right? Or like, taking money out of an IRA or doing something that probably has tax implications. And oftentimes, even though I feel like I have a steady career with health insurance in an industry that I'm going to continue like going up in, I look at my bank account and I'm like, oh boy, I got credit cards to pay.
Yeah, I had to pull out my money in my biotech stocks that I had just before this event because I hadn't worked since Omega League, and I probably won't be paid for this event for probably another month or two. So just to make sure, I was going to be good, I pulled out a chunk of money just to kind of make sure that I would be good for the next 3-4 months in case ESL didn't get around to paying me for a while.
So presumably also that means that you probably have tax liability for the gains you made on those biotech stocks, which does that hurt a little bit? I need to figure out how that works more.
Yeah, I believe so, but I don't actually believe that I made that much because
you
yeah,
didn't
I think I
ended
up being about because I didn't invest in GME. Pretty much because I ended up being about even. So sad, but I mean, to be honest, it was like 3 or 4 months of investing. I think, yeah, I had that money in for about 4 months, and with the way that everything has gone topsy turvy,
you could have put.
I'm okay with breaking even.
I think you could have put money into nearly any stock in America in the last 4 months and been like, wow, this did better than expected. So
yeah, so
it's wild. Well, I'm watching you get more and more sleepy, my friend. I know that it's late, and
you know what it is? I'm not actually that sleepy, but I have to pee really badly.
Oh, well then, I mean, I can just say that you're sleepy. I can just say, hey, let's
Yes,
let's end this
very
down so you can
sleepy.
go pee. Yeah, you're gonna fall asleep on the toilet as you just sit down and pee. Like that's fine. You can do that. That's okay. Do they have
I don't sit down to pee.
I like that you feel the need to correct that. You're like, hey everybody, I just want everyone to know, don't sit down to pee. Nothing wrong if you do. I don't though.
Nothing wrong if you do, but I don't.
Do they are bidets ubiquitous in Sweden?
No,
Okay, I was just
sadly.
curious. Okay, I wasn't sure.
Sadly,
if that
they
was
are not.
just a sum.
Go over to that would require going over to Asia for bidets to be a little bit more popular. Fucking white people, man.
We ruin everything.
Taking paper and rubbing it all over our asses. Like, come on. Use water.
I'm gonna go splash some water on my own butt.
Okay.
Just the worst way that I've ever ended a show ever. Hey everybody, I hope you're having a good day. I gotta get my butt wet. God damn it. No, I'm losing it. Follow the show on whatever podcast player you like. Mine's Spotify. Yours might be Apple. 5-star reviews always help. Tell a friend about the show. Listen while you're playing a pub. Maybe it's a Naga Siren 4. Maybe you realize how good stats are for your support characters. Maybe you're someone who really likes movement speed. I don't know. But if that's you, thanks. Dude, I should just re-record that. That was so bad. I don't think I've ever done something that bad. Oh man, I'm embarrassed that people are going to listen to that.